When you go through her book and you read, yes, women can minister. Yes, women have voices to speak. Yes, women can do that. I was responding and saying, yeah, I know. They always have. Why is that new?
Now, she calls Ephesians 5, and this has been argued by, she's not the only one to argue this. Rachel Held Evans had argued this, but I'll read Beth Ellison Bar's interpretation here of Ephesians 5. She says, likewise, Ephesians 5 can be read as a resistance narrative to Roman patriarchy. Many scholars argue that Paul subordinates his entire discussion of the household codes under verse 21, be subject to one another out of reverence for Christ. When this verse is read at the beginning of the Ephesians household codes, it changes everything. I don't really see that. I don't see how it changes everything personally at all.
It
But that's kind of
doesn't.
the point she's making, is that Paul, in some way, is that's the main point he's trying to make, and then, oh yeah, and all this other stuff too, or something. It's very kind of difficult to understand exactly what she's saying, but I do want to notice some language she uses here. She says, instead of underscoring the inferiority of women, as if I think what that's meaning is that that's what complementarians do, is they're underscoring the inferiority as if a different role, this is so important, as if a different role means inferior. That is not at
Right.
all what the Bible says at all. The Bible never presents women as inferior in any sort of value, dignity, or worth category. And this is where it's so important to define terms, because if you talk about my husband and I, in the realm of physical strength, my physical strength is inferior to his.
Sure.
But his ability to instinctively know what our kids need is inferior to mine. But
Right.
neither one of those means that we are inferior in dignity, value, and worth to each other. But there's an implication here in this wording that the view, and again, I know we don't love the labels, but it's helpful to use them so we
Sure.
can
Yes.
understand what we're talking about. Complementarians are not saying that women are inferior to men in any sense of worth or value, but that's the implication, is that is what complementarians teach.
Absolutely. And it also, in a certain way, the labels, the label egalitarianism is a response to the idea that women are intellectually inferior, or that women are incapable, or that women are lesser people than men. But that's never been a Christian argument. That's never been something that uh, um, the Old Testament has affirmed, that women are less than human, or that women aren't capable, or that women are unintelligent. So she uses that verse and that rationale to argue something that has never been argued before,
Mm.
right? So when you go through her book and you read, yes, women can minister. Yes, women have voices to speak. Yes, women can do that. I was responding and saying, yeah, I know. They always have. Why is that new? Right. So
Mhm.
I think it's also a commentary on biblical literacy.
Mm.
Never mind church history. It's also a commentary on biblical literacy, to be surprised that the Bible contains things that it has always contained. Right. So when she starts talking about Romans 16, there was an experience of her teaching her class, and there was a female student that said, why have I never seen this before in Romans 16? And the reason you haven't seen it is because you never read Romans 16, because it's always been there, right? So it's true that the church and that people, they cherry pick what they want to read and what they want to park on. But that is not the same thing as saying that that Bible teaches certain things. It's just that you haven't read it. It has always been the case that Romans 16 has contained the names of women that were necessary to Paul's ministry. It's always been there.
Mhm.
And the fact that someone is surprised today says something else other than the point that Beth Bar makes.
Yeah.